Hello, chefs. Good evening. We're back again. I'm Isaiah, the young Jedi chef, here with the Dragon Warrior chef, German Lam, and the Phoenix Warrior chef, Noreen. We will be your host for today's podcast. You are listening to a unique podcast where we will discuss tough yet real topics that need to be heard in the industry. In this podcast, you will hear the truth, real, raw, and unfiltered. Today, we have the honor of having Amelia with us to talk about building your brand as a hospitality professional and how to work with magazine writers and editors. I'm excited to get started and jump right in. So without further ado, I will let our star of the show, our guest, Amelia, introduce herself. Amelia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I was just joking that I'm usually on the other end of the camera, so I'm doing the interviewing, so this is new for me. But I'm Amelia. I've been in food service B2B publishing for 17 years now. I've written for a lot of different food industry magazines. I'm also a certified chef through Kendall College and a cookbook author. I've published about 6 books of my own. And most recently served as editor in chief for American Culinary Federation. And now I have another project as a food editor again. So I'm excited about that. But thanks for having me today.
You so much, Amelia. We really appreciate you being here. Super excited to talk about our topic today and get started. So thank you so much. So we all aspire to be remembered and to leave a legacy behind for those who come after us. In order to leave a legacy behind, you must leave your mark or make an impact in the world or those around you. We all have something that we are naturally good at or something that we can do easily that others might struggle at doing. The purpose of life is to unlock the full potential of your natural born gift and build your brand around it. So, therefore, you can make a mark and leave behind a legacy. Your brand is something that will remain with you for life and requires that you remain consistent with it and deliver on what you represent. So, to start us off with the first question, what does it mean to create a brand for yourself, and how can one recognize their brand? And what are the first steps to building it and having it recognized by others? You want to start us off, Amelia, with that one?
Sure. And actually, this is something I'm going through right now myself. As a food writer, I'm always so used to interviewing other people and putting other people in the spotlight, but now I'm trying to work on that on my end for my brand. But yeah, I think working closely with media and nowadays using social media and other platforms and just putting yourself out there is great and totally acceptable and that's how you really create a persona. Yeah, so whatever feels comfortable to you, whether it's you really enjoy Instagram or you really you have a connection with a local writer, or you're in an association where there may be magazine people trying to talk to you. Really saying yes to all those opportunities is a really good. I would say yes to everything when it comes to media, because it even if you're nervous like me right now, I think it's just another way that you can showcase your work and all the good things that you're doing. So yeah.
Mhm. And I love what you said on say yes to every opportunity, because I feel like really in the world that we live in today, there's so many opportunities to be recognized, especially like with all the social media platforms that we have. So the more recognition that you have, the better. So thank you so much for that, Amelia. Noreen Chef Lam, what's your spin on it?
I love this question. I think it's something that a lot of like budding entrepreneurs and young people are really thinking about. How do I build my brand? And Amelia, I like that you mentioned other options outside of social media. I personally am not a social media person. I don't enjoy what it's done to a lot of our communication in society, so it's not something that I like to spend my time on. But there are ways to build your brand outside of being on Instagram or being on TikTok. If you like to do that, it's an excellent way to get started with very little. But for people like me who are like, I don't want an Instagram, I choose not to have one for a specific reason. There are other ways to get connected and build your brand, get your voice out there. So I love that. That's given me a little bit to think about, especially joining like a local association, getting in with writers, just talking to people and getting your word, your voice out there.
Yeah, I like that point too. I never thought of it from that perspective as well, that, social media is not the only way to, get your brand built and get your name out there. Like I started a website when I was a few years ago, and that kind of got my name out there as well, So when people search up your name, your brand is already there. So I think
Right.
for me, that's a good step, is starting a website, like you said, or joining different groups, joining different things like that to kind of get you well connected in the industry. Super important.
Right.
So thank you, Noreen, for that. Chef Lam, what's your spin?
Oh, you know what? Great question, because the stage that we're on right now, we call it the global, the whole world. And think about voices, right? Gender, culture. This right here, there is no other podcast in the world that has this type of people who are real and doing something that no one has done, you know? And to me, that's great, because it's a lot of growing pain, but those growing pains actually cleans up your recipe. So
Mm.
so so to me, in cooking, is when you do one culture, very easy. When you take three culture, then you add another culture. Woo! Now we're talking something like, Iron Chef competition, and you're kind of blending everything in. So to me, to our viewers, they're getting a gift when they listen to us, especially the guests we have.
Mhm. Yeah, and I gotta say that's a testament to our brand. You know what I mean? That's a testament. What does our brand mean? We keep it real, we keep it raw, and we bring in people from all over to share, their story and give their perspective. So I think that's something that we bring as a podcast. So that's super strong. So thank you so much, Chef Lam, for that. So I believe that it's important to recognize what we have accomplished so far and set goals for what we want to accomplish in the future. So now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, is story time. So what is your brand, and how do you feel that it has impacted the world and the people around you? And what goals do you have for the future of your brand? You want to start us off, Amelia?
Oh, that's a big question.
Oh, you take your time.
I'm like, I don't know. Though again, like, that's something I'm working on myself. I feel so blessed to have been able to publish several cookbooks already. Right now, that market it's tough. You need so I did it before social media became a requirement. So I went completely the traditional route, and nowadays you need like a lot of followers to publish. So I'm just so happy I was able to accomplish that. However, um, I'm exploring some other options and ways of getting my recipes and writing out there that's not necessarily books, per se. So I'm starting like a Substack, and I want to put some recipes on there and try to um, offer the recipes and things that I've written in books to a wider audience, that you don't have to just buy this book. You can have this recipe all the time. So that's kind of something I'm working on right now. And I also, this is actually, I don't want to like make everyone sad, but today is actually PPA Awareness Day. It's Primary Progressive Aphasia Day. And my mom was a recipe developer and cookbook author, very prolific person. And unfortunately, she was diagnosed with PPA a few years ago, and it's progressed to a frontotemporal dementia. And she's not doing very well right now. It's a rare form of dementia that kind of robs you of everything. And she has thousands of recipes that, she was never on social media or anything, but I collected all her recipes. And she's had many, many books from the 90s and the 2000s. And something I want to do is try to take those recipes, maybe update them, but then showcase them with the world too, through some of these newer platforms, not necessarily a book, but through Substack or however that is. So that's my current goal. So now I just said it out loud to the universe, and now I'm really on deadline for it. Like now it has to happen. Great. No, I always prioritized, the food writing and my main jobs in the past, and all that other stuff got pushed aside. But now I really have to make the time to do it. It's important, and again, it's about building my brand too.
Exactly.
So
And I'm sorry to hear about your mom, but that's an incredible thing what you're trying to do. It's incredible that you're trying to gather all her recipes and put it into a, like you said, a platform where people could look and share those same memories that you shared with her through the food. It's super incredible. And that's what food does. Food creates memories. It, brings back old memories. It, creates moments together. And that's why I love this industry so much. And really through those recipes, you're leaving, like you said, your brand, you're leaving your legacy behind, through the dishes that you create. So that's so, so powerful. Thank you so much for that, Amelia. Chef Lam, Noreen.
Yeah, I want to say my heart goes out to you, your mom, and your family. I worked in healthcare for some time, so it can be very, very difficult. But this is an amazing, amazing way to honor your mom, her legacy, and your legacy as well. And I think that is something I like to think about when we talk about goal setting and how to achieve those goals. Is that what kind of legacy are you trying to leave behind? Because that's a life's work. It takes a very long time to really build a true legacy that is going to last generations after we depart from our journey here on earth. So I love to hear that. And I'm also in the same boat as you, Amelia, where I'm trying to figure out like what exactly is my brand in a succinct way to show people. And I'm really about wellness. I'm really about balance in your life. And I think a lot of food has been unbalanced in people's lives in the modern day. So finding that balance for me is something that is very important. And hopefully we'll have a good idea to start a business to really showcase products and ways that we can integrate wellness into our lives in a easily digestible way. Excuse that. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. We'll see where that goes, but goal setting and thinking about that for long term is really where I'm at.
That's great.
Yeah, and I love what you mentioned, Noreen. Like you said, you're still developing your brand, and that takes time. It's developed through experiences. It's developed through different goals that you might have, and your brand could change.
Yeah.
So it's super super critical that you mentioned that. Thank you so much, Noreen. Chef Lam, what's your spin?
I would say, Amelia, we definitely have to have a lunch chat because everything that you're saying, I have a solution for each question that you're tackling on. And the major one is dementia, because my parents got tagged with that, and I learned a lot about dementia and the mindset, right? And I mean, what I do is I mentor, right? And I mentor to a point where you create your philosophy and principle. In cooking, think about feeling, emotion, anger, bitterness, happy, smile. That all goes into our food. And how can you create something that people remember us and know? You have to create those memories, because like your mom, she had an eye and she had a taste. And for you, and think about when you're teaching the world, that's a different game. It's all about, we crawl, walk, then we sprint. So for you, like with your mom, feelings, hold her, hug her, kiss her, make food for her. So in one way, it's like a baby, reset everything that she got exposed. And what that does to me, that is your medicine when you encounter dementia, because the doctors gives you a pill and they have a lot of side effects. But then you have to figure out the chef and go, okay, what can I do with the 5 food groups? Then you have Mother Nature right outside waiting for you. So this is something that, when you talk about it, I am like, yeah, right to the T, because I experienced that. And your heart, open your heart and watch, and your eye will start to create.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I love that point, Chef Lam. Like you said, lead in with love when it comes to that. And And like you said, bringing back those memories and those moments through the food and reminding her how it was is super important. So thank you so much, Chef Lam, for that. Um, so uh, once you have built your brand, it's important to protect it and ensure that it maintains and grows in value. In order to do this, it's important to work with a good PR team or public relations team that can help guide you in your presence on social media and influence the public. So, how can one find or build a good PR team, and why is having one so important and essential to building your brand? You want to start us off, Amelia?
Yeah, sure. So not everybody, can do that. It does, cost something. But I found that the benefits, while they may not be immediately measurable, probably outweigh the costs in the long run. Because and I'll just say from my perspective as a writer, when I work with a PR person who is representing a chef or restaurant, it is so much easier to get the article and the photos and everything done that I just keep going back to that person over and over again. And it really puts you in front of a lot of other competition when you have a person like that who can help you connect with media. They usually will also arrange for really good photography for your food, which is really important. iPhones are great, but they don't always work for magazines. So, in fact, they rarely work for print magazines. So you really need to have professional food photography on hand, and PR agencies can help you with that. They can also help you really streamline and identify your brand and your voice and mission, and they offer that. And then they have the connections to all the writers. So, like I said, if you're not a huge social media person, that's okay. They also they pitch tons of magazines and writers and other outlets, and they can connect you with all the right people there too. So it's a huge benefit. It does, it can be expensive, or it can be not so bad. I mean, there's plenty of independent PR people out there willing to offer their services. But yeah, I think if you're like a little stuck or lost or not sure, finding someone like that is can really help you. To find, I don't even know how you would I think you could literally just like Google, but or you can also kind of look at other people in the press and ask if they use people, or look for a press release that came out, and at the bottom it'll usually list the contact person, and that's how you can find a PR person too. But there's a range. They come, you can get one person working for him or herself, all the way up to a big agency that will do it. So it's like depending on, what your budget allows. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity there.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Amelia. And I think although it is expensive, it's an investment in yourself, and it's an investment in your brand and your business. And like you said, it will eventually pay off. And it's all about having them help you make those connections, and really putting you in the right place, in the right position to where you could take off. And then eventually you might be able to do it by yourself. But just starting off and stuff like that, I think that's great advice on how to find one, and great advice on why they're important. So thank you so much, Amelia, for that. Noreen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like with anything in life, right? If something breaks at home, you try to fix it yourself. Maybe you look it up online, you try a couple things. Maybe you're good at it. Maybe you can, fix the electrical outlet and it's not a problem. But sometimes you need to bring in an expert, and it's the same with PR. I think because everyone has social media, they think that PR, they're easily going to be able to do it. And some people might be very skilled at it or pick up the skills to build their PR ways and showcase their brand in a effective way. But if you can't, that's okay. That's why we have experts. So if you want to consult with one, even if it's just one time to have an idea of where to get started, it's an investment, like Isaiah said. And there are different kinds of investments that we make every day for our long term. And sometimes you just have to get with an expert, talk to them, and see where you can go so that you can continue on your route and showcase your brand.
Definitely. And I gotta say, the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. If you don't
Yes.
invest in yourself, if you don't invest in your brand, who will? You got to believe in yourself before anybody else will. So
Right.
it's super important. So thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lam.
Oh, I love this question here. Amelia, you must have ESP. I'm like, everything you're saying, I'm like, hey, we're the brand. And for us, it's creating a partnership. And to me, when you're talking about PR, I go, you know what? Do you imagine you have us as your client? People will be going like, wow, because it's like music, it's like artists, right? When you find that person, oh, it's better because right now, our brand, you don't need to add, organic to it. You don't need to add makeup to it. You don't need to add preservative to it. It is so pure and wholesome. It just I can't believe it because that doesn't exist. And to me, I'm like, yeah, it does exist, because we're right here. You see us right here. There is no Botox. You know what I mean? So this is like alive. And to me, that's why I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? If we did meet one, I said, look at how easy you could take us and roll it out to the world, global, not just in this country, but we're talking about global. Middle East, Europe, Asia, Latin America, Africa, and of course, our beautiful home country. So to me, think about that. That's like ching, 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 ching. You don't even have to count. You don't have to go, am I getting paid? You're always going to be on the headlines. So to me, when you talk about that, it's like cooking. When you taste it, you're going to fall in love. That's the game. There is no other, response that I'm waiting for you is you taste this food, Amelia, you're going to fall in love. And I'm sorry if you do fall in love, but that's what happens. Okay.
That's what we like it, Chef. Keeping it real all the time. Keeping it real all the time. That's what we're about. Be real, authentic, and then that's our brand. Just trying not to hide the truth, but speak the truth. Speak on things people don't want to talk about. Give people the opportunity and platform they might not have on their own. So that's what we strive to do with this podcast. So yeah, thank you so much, Chef Lam, for that. So many people in the hospitality industry, especially in the culinary industry, and we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but they have their own recipes, their unique ways of crafting their dishes, and desire to share their recipes and creations with the world. This is usually done through writing recipes and cookbooks. Although your cookbook can become widely successful, and it is a very competitive industry, and you must set yourself apart and stand out from the others that are out there. So how can one get their recipes in shape for print, and how should they propose or pitch their cookbook? You want to start us off, Amelia?
Yeah, well, that's a big topic, but no, there's definitely different ways of going about this. For as a Cookbooks are not, as a food writer, magazine editor, I would often be requesting recipes to use from. You might hear my dogs barking and the mailman in the background. A totally cliche. Um, so to so and working with chefs, sometimes it's harder than you think to actually record your recipes, pretty like specifically with all the details and kind of approximate time and everything. It really does take a recipe writer or to help with that, unless you really know how to do it. That's what my mom trained me to do. And how I was able to do cookbooks. So you can definitely just, if you want to get some help with just starting there by recording a lot of your recipes and dishes, you can get a cookbook author like myself. You can find there aren't a ton of recipe developers out there, but there are some, and those are the kind of people who can help you with that. That's like a good first step, honestly. And then there's two routes for cookbook publishing. There's the self-publishing route, which you're going to invest a lot of effort and time and money into that route. But it's, it's doable. And then there's the more traditional route where you really need to work with an agent. And I do have an agent. So I ask her quite often, or I throw out ideas often, or people who are interested in books, to get her feedback. But yeah, usually the route for that is you get an agent or pitch an agent. The agent decides to work with you, and then you develop a proposal, which is like a business plan for the book. It follows a very strict format, like overview, recipes, and it's like this whole thing. And then that agent will pitch that book for you, and that's the traditional route. And then you would get an advance, and they might handle the photography. So it's really like if you can get the book deal, it's awesome. But it's tough right now. So like right now, I know agents are looking for a really big social media following to get books published. So self-publishing is a great route too.
Yeah, well, I gotta say that's a lot to it, and you have 6 cookbooks. So that's pretty amazing that you were able to do that and accomplish that. And it's very, very competitive out there. So to get to know this information and to know how to kind of get your book started and get on that track is very, very helpful. Because I know there's plenty of people out there that have ideas of wanting to always have a cookbook and all that stuff. And even if it's a small stream cookbook, even if only a few people read it, it's still leaving behind your mark and leaving behind that legacy and your family's legacy. So that's super great thing to do. And thanks for that advice, Amelia. Noreen?
Yeah, I think something I hear from a lot of people, yeah, I want to have a cookbook. I want to have a cookbook, which is awesome. I love using cookbooks, but they're like, I don't know what to do. I have to have this complicated and this and that. And there are a lot of steps to get it really ready for publishing. And that's with any piece of writing. But just getting started, start collecting the recipes that you think you want to include in a cookbook. Why those recipes? What's the theme? Thinking about those things first. And Amelia, you can tell me if,
Oh yeah, no, that's it.
yeah,
Yeah,
having
you're
that
100%.
vision first. And
Yeah.
we've talked about vision on this podcast before, but having a vision, you're creating something. What is it that you're creating? Is it breakfast recipes? Is it honoring your culture? Is it honoring a specific way of eating? Whatever it is. And just getting started writing, write it down, physically write it down with a pencil and paper, not just typed. That's the next step. But just starting with a vision, collecting things is a great way to start. And I think cookbooks are becoming, and it's very competitive on the shelves, getting anything published and sold. But why not have, even if it's just a few people, like Isaiah said, that it really reaches them and it becomes a beacon, a resource for them on their bookshelf. That's amazing. And so your voice is important. Whoever wants to write one, go for it.
I couldn't agree more, Noreen. Like you said, just go for it. And it's all about starting small, writing down each recipe, and physically writing it does so much more than just typing it. It makes it more authentic, and then eventually it could get typed out. But that initial authenticity of writing it down, it makes a huge difference and adds so much more to the story, to the recipe. So thank you so much for that, Noreen. Chef Lam?
Oh, you know what? Another great question right here, because everyone wanted me to write a cookbook. And I said to myself, I love sports and I love championship and I love trophies. And I said, if I'm going to write a book, I can't compete in that market, because think about it, right? You have ratings, right? The more you sell, you make money, right? Book dealers, they want to make money. So to me, something happened 7 years ago. Cancer came into my world. So I decided to write my journey. So it was The Dragon Turns to Water, Chef German Lam Fights Cancer with a Freestyle Lifestyle. And I go, wow, think about what I just said. Freestyle lifestyle. You have a lot of game. Now something comes at you. Start cooking. You know what I mean? Start cooking, trial and error. And to me, there's two things happen. You live or you die. So I think the live part's going to give you so much motivation that you're going to be amazed. So, my book's on Amazon. I had Terrace help me with this because I'm not a writer, I'm not an English major. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I did. This is what you got to do, right? So for me, it's writing a book, and especially cooking. I found that it's very private, very personal, and to share that with the world where they get it. Because when it comes to cooking, don't copy what I just made for you. Make it better. And no one has ever created a cookbook that says, yes, make a better chocolate chip cookie than me. Make a better chicken salad than me. You know what I mean? No one has done that. Everyone's like, follow me. And if you do that, the food is dead. There is no life. And that's what cooking is. You need to bring it to life from the ground, from the farmer, from the ocean, from the land. You need to bring it home and start getting your hand dirty and go, okay, what am I going to do? But that would be my 2 cents for you.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Chef Lam. A recipe itself has no life unless it's the person behind it that brings life to it. And that's why I'm not a baker. Every time I follow a recipe, it always ends up bad.
I know,
No matter
me
what
too.
I
I hate baking.
always horrible. So I think being authentic with it and really just cooking from the heart is really where it starts, because you could follow a recipe all day, but if it has no soul, it has no soul. So I think you bring the soul to the recipe. So thank you so much for that, Chef Lam. So to kind of end it off a little bit fun, what is one of the coolest things that you have done in your career, and who is the most influential person that you have had the chance to work with? You want to start us off, Amelia?
Oh boy. Well, the most wait, the most fun. Well, I would say, publishing my first book was pretty awesome. It was the Chicago Chef's Table cookbook. It was in 2010. I just did another version a few years ago. And in my other book, the Lake Michigan Cottage book, was also super fun. And we traveled around and ate and did research, and it was focused on Midwestern cooking and cuisine. So like that was just the whole process for those were really exciting and fun, and being able to connect with so many chefs and try to, like you said, bring their vision to the page is really awesome. Um, I know it's been like, I didn't expect to talk about my mom so much today, but I have to come back to her again on the most influential person. She really was like, she taught me how to be gainfully self-employed. I've been on my own for a long time now, over a decade. She was very, she taught me how to write recipes, like in true format, so they could be published. She introduced me to, I'm in Les Dames d'Escoffier, which is a women's a food society for women in food. And one of my first memories was she would bring me to like all the events, even at a young age. I'm a member now, but I was like a dom in training back then. And my favorite memory was she brought me to an event at Shaw's in Chicago, and Julia Child was there.
Wow.
And I got to like eat oysters with Julia Child and meet her right in person and talk to her, and she was really cool. And I remember that, and that was really awesome. So yeah, I have to say my mom is definitely up there in terms of most influential people.
Thank you so much for that, Amelia. We have
Yeah.
about 4 minutes left. Chef Lam, Noreen, knock it out.
I'm gonna throw it at Chef Lam. I really want to hear his response to this.
Us, this podcast, not professionally trained, no media, no script. Each time we have a podcast, we just go, let's go, baby. You are going to fall in love with us. I mean, that is the game. The game is the world will fall in love with us. And once they do, they start loving themselves. And to me, this podcast, it's so beautiful and magical is that Isaiah, no, I shouldn't say Isaiah, Noreen, then Isaiah, then, like I said, I'm just a Yoda, like Star Wars, they're the Jedis, and I love Star Wars. And if you think about Star Wars, why it's so beautiful, you had a mentor and you had a mentee. So to me, this is something that I know in the world, not even 1% of mentor and mentee. I know that for a fact, because if it did, we will be in a better place where we are. So that is my, comment to the world right here. And if I misspoken wrong, please call us. Call us, put us on your show and tell us what we did to offend you.
That's awesome.
All right, Noreen.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think something that's amazing in the food industry is all the people that you get to meet.
For sure.
Everyone has a different background, different perspective, different experiences. And I'm in my sponge phase. I'm just absorbing everything that I can so that I can decide, what works for me and what doesn't. So that just meeting people from different walks of life and working with people like Isaiah and like Chef Lam, meeting all these different guests through the podcast. I never imagined I would be helping make a podcast ever. I was telling Chef Lam earlier, 5 years ago, I never thought I would be where I am today. So I'm just going along for the ride, and it's been amazing. So this has been very cool. Something is definitely out of my comfort zone, but that's a good thing. It allows me to meet cool people like Amelia and like all of our guests. So
Cool.
Yeah, well, we love having you, Noreen. It's been a great journey so far, and I'm excited for what is to come. And so thank you so much, Amelia, for being a part of this today. This call has not only impacted those listening, but has impacted those that are connected to them as well. And we have made history here today and have helped many in their future. So thank you so much for listening. See you guys on the next call. Thank you.
Thank you.